Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to stand before you today and speak about a truth that can revolutionize your life, leaving everything in God's hand. Now, I don't know about you, but I've come to realize that life can be overwhelming. We plan, we strive, we push forward, and sometimes even with all our effort, things just don't work out the way we want. Can I tell you something today? That's okay. Because you were never meant to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. You see, the first principle I want to share with you is this: God is sovereign. That means He rules and reigns over all creation. His power is supreme, His knowledge infinite, and His wisdom unfathomable. So why would we finite beings insist on holding on to control? When we try to handle things our way, we're limited. But when we place everything in God's hand, we are tapping into a power that has no limits. Let me tell you, this faith is the antidote to fear. Life will throw uncertainties at you, trials, disappointments, failures, but here's the good news. Faith in God cancels the power of fear. Faith is not a denial of reality, it's the recognition that even in uncertainty, God is working. It's a declaration that we trust Him even when we cannot trace Him. Your faith tells fear it has no place in your life. One thing I have learned is this: God's plan is always bigger than ours. We may see only the present, but God sees the end from the beginning. Every challenge, every setback, every victory is part of a master plan. So instead of fighting for control, surrender to His purpose. There's a peace that comes when you say, Lord, I don't understand it all, but I trust your hand in my life. Surrender is not a sign of weakness, it's the ultimate act of strength. There's something powerful that happens when we say, Lord, I place this situation in your hands. I release control because you know what I do not. When you surrender, you are aligning yourself with the one who controls the universe. And trust me, He knows what He's doing. Let me tell you another thing: God's timing is perfect. You might be in a season of waiting, feeling like the breakthrough hasn't come yet, but don't rush ahead of God. His delays are not denials. You may not see it now, but in due season, the very thing you've been waiting for will arrive, and you will know that it came at the right time, in the right way. Prayer is the key. If you're going to leave everything in God's hand, you must communicate with Him. Prayer is your lifeline. It's how you place your worries, your dreams, your burdens before Him. In the quietness of prayer, God brings peace, guidance, and reassurance that He is in control. So when life becomes overwhelming, don't panic, pray. I know there are times of uncertainty, times when the answers seem far away. But listen to me carefully: uncertainty is not the absence of God's hand, it's the opportunity for His hand to move. Trust Him through it all. He has never failed, and He won't start with you. And here's something we need to cultivate: patience. We live in a world of instant gratification, but God doesn't operate on our timeline. Waiting on God builds character, it strengthens our faith. So while you wait, remember that God is working behind the scenes, preparing you for the next chapter of your life. When you place everything in God's hands, there's an exchange that takes place. He takes your anxiety and gives you peace. Peace that doesn't make sense. Peace that quiets the storms of your mind and heart. That's the peace of God that passes all understanding. As I close, I want to encourage you with this: when you leave everything in God's hand, you will see His fingerprints all over your life. There are countless testimonies of people who let go and let God, and their lives were never the same. Remember this: as you walk out of here today, you are not alone. You don't have to carry the weight. Leave it all in God's hand and watch Him turn it into something greater than you ever imagined. When we speak of leaving everything in God's hands, we must begin by recognizing His sovereignty, His ultimate power, authority, and control over all things. This is foundational to our trust in Him. The very nature of God is that He is above all, beyond all, and in control of all. From the creation of the universe to the details of your daily life, nothing escapes His attention or dominion. Think about it: the stars in the heavens, the oceans that rise and fall, the seasons that change, all of these are under His command. If God can control the cosmos, how much more can He handle the intricacies of your life? There is nothing too big or too small for Him. Your worries, your dreams, your challenges, they all fit within the vastness of His power. We often get overwhelmed because we feel the need to control everything. We try to manage outcomes, we stress over possibilities, and we fear what we cannot predict. But can I tell you something? That's exhausting. The truth is, We weren't designed to carry the weight of the world on our own. We were designed to rely on the one who holds the world in his hands. When you truly understand that God is sovereign, it changes your perspective. You begin to realize that you don't have to have all the answers because God does. You don't have to fight to make everything happen because God is already at work. He is in control, not just of the broad strokes of history, but of the fine details of your life. Every step you take, every door that opens, every closed door, it's all part of his divine orchestration. God's sovereignty means that he sees what we cannot see. He knows the beginning from the end, the past from the future. He understands how everything fits together. We, in our limited understanding, may not always grasp why things happen the way they do. But we can rest in the fact that God is never caught off guard. He is never surprised. What may seem like chaos to us is well within his control. And here's something even more powerful to grasp. God's sovereignty is not distant or detached. It's personal. He is intimately involved in the affairs of your life. Scripture reminds us that even the very hairs on your head are numbered. If God cares about the smallest details, how much more does he care about your deepest concerns and greatest needs? When we talk about leaving everything in God's hand, we are saying that we trust him to work things out according to his perfect will. This requires faith in his goodness. You see, God's sovereignty is not just about his power, it's about his heart. He is not only able to control all things, but he also desires what is best for you. Sometimes what we want and what God wants may look different, but we can trust that his ways are higher than ours and his plans are far better. So when life feels out of control, remind yourself that God is still on the throne. The world may shake, circumstances may shift, but his sovereignty remains unshaken. He is constant, he is unmovable. And that is why we can trust him with everything, our fears, our hopes, our burdens, and our future. Let go of the need to control everything and rest in the knowledge that God's sovereignty is at work in your life. He is not only capable, but also committed to leading you toward the destiny he has prepared. Trust in him, for his hands are far more capable than ours ever will be. When it comes to leaving everything in God's hands, one of the greatest obstacles we face is fear. Fear can paralyze us, keep us stuck in places of doubt, and prevent us from moving forward into the fullness of what God has for us. But faith is the antidote to fear. Where fear cripples, faith empowers. Where fear clouds our vision, faith gives us clarity. Fear, at its core, is rooted in uncertainty. It feeds off of what we cannot control or predict. We fear the unknown, the what-ifs that plague our minds when situations seem uncertain. But let me tell you, this faith isn't blind optimism, it's confidence in the one who holds the future. Faith says, even though I can't see what's ahead, I know God sees it all. It declares, though I don't have all the answers, I trust the one who does. When you have faith, you acknowledge that there's someone greater in control, and that someone is God. Fear will always whisper lies. It will tell you you're not going to make it, things will never change, what if it all goes wrong? But faith speaks louder. Faith says, God is with me and he has a plan for my life. It declares that no matter the circumstances, God's promises remain true. Faith is not ignoring the reality of life's challenges, but it is the assurance that despite those challenges, God is still good and still in control. In moments of uncertainty, it's natural to feel afraid. We are human after all. But here's the thing, you don't have to let fear dictate your actions. Fear may show up, but it doesn't have to rule over you. When you allow faith to rise, it silences the voice of fear. It enables you to move forward, even when you don't have all the details. Faith doesn't demand that we know every step of the journey. It simply asks us to trust the one who guides our steps. Think of Peter walking on water. The moment he took his eyes off Jesus and focused on the storm around him, fear took over and he began to sink. But as long as his eyes were on Jesus, his faith kept him walking. That's the key. Keep your focus on God, not on the storm. When you focus on the circumstances, fear will drown you. But when you focus on God, faith will lift you above the waves. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but faith thrives in trust. The more you trust in God, the more your faith grows and the less room there is for fear to operate in your life. Trusting God doesn't mean everything will always be easy or that there won't be struggles, but it means you are placing your confidence in his ability to see you through it. You can rest in the fact that God has gone ahead of you, preparing the way, even when you cannot see the road ahead. And let me tell you something important. Faith is a choice. You have to choose faith over fear daily. It's not something that happens automatically. When fear tries to take over, you have to actively decide to place your trust in God. That means speaking His promises over your life, reminding yourself of His faithfulness, and choosing to believe that He is for you, not against you. Fear says you're on your own. Faith says God is with you every step of the way.